Hi guys, pleasure to be here today. I'm Sufyan, founder of GetDesky. So I've spent the last 12 years managing recruitment processes for businesses in the UK, Fortune 500s, startups, VCs, and recruitment till today still remains highly manual. You've got to bring in applications, you have to review CVs, you have to conduct phone screenings, you have to schedule interviews, take notes, bring up interview scorecards. It's a highly manual process which wastes a lot of time for recruiters. Now with the adoption of AI, companies still remain pretty much basic around how they adopt AI into their processes. This all leads to very much high time to hires, a KPI that's heavily measured within internal teams. So we decided, let's build an ecosystem of AI agents. These agents can be deployed to conduct numerous tasks across 3 different verticals: pre-hiring, hiring, post-hire. You can do your job descriptions, you can post your jobs, you can go from 1,000 applications to 100 or even 10. You can do phone screenings, and you can also do interview scheduling. So today's MVP is all about building the foundations. We've created a basic ATS system which allows you to post jobs, track your applications, and collaborate with your team. What we will also do for this MVP is deploy the first 2 agents, which is reviewing CVs, giving you the top 10, and also conducting phone screenings. So the opportunity remains very large. We're building at the intersection of 2 markets: talent acquisition technology and AI agents. Now we're going to start with our SOM, which is a $955 million market. We anticipate that 53% of the GDP comes from SMEs across the UAE. You have to just look at the SME agenda that the government have produced. I think it's about 1 million businesses in this sector that are due to be there by the end of 2030. So if we can capture those, we can then expand into the larger markets. So we've got a very scalable, predictable revenue streams, subscription-based model, starter packages, pro packages, and enterprises. You pay $199 a month for your starter, and you get 200 tasks. Those tasks are those AI agents that I mentioned in the previous slide. Once you run out of these tasks, companies can continue to deploy these agents, but at very low cost, where you will pay per task. If you want to buy bulk add-ons, that's available to you. For example, 1,000 tasks will cost you $70. That will allow us to continue bringing in revenue, even though those tasks have been completed at the end of each month. So we've got an industry expertise team to transform hiring. I've spent 12 years in the recruitment industry. I've got Shivam, who's graduated from the University of California from Dubai and is working on machine learning. He's deployed a bunch of agents in his spare time already. Same with Anirudh. He just graduated from the Guildford University, and he has also deployed numerous agents in his spare time. I've got 2 advisors. Tristan has basically worked for a bunch of Sequoia-backed companies in the US. He has scaled teams and gone to market with a number of organizations. Kiranjit is a VP of People and HR from the London ecosystem as well, and she's worked for a bunch of Fortune 500s and startups. HR teams will be my main buyer, so it's useful to have an individual like that on my advisory panel. So what do we need to build a future of hiring? I'm looking for $550,000 in pre-seed funding. Majority of this will be for salaries, so I can bring in a team that can focus on data science, machine learning, and software. Marketing and growth. This will allow me to scale the product purely through founder-led sales, but also through paid advertising, so we can capture the businesses that we're looking for. And then our infrastructure. We need to deploy these models and use compute to basically train these models and fine-tune them. So the costing will be allocated to those as well. Thank you for your time.
Fantastic. Elliot, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I mean, let's start with a compliment. Fairly well covered and comprehensive pitch deck. I think you managed to get most points in a short amount of time. The point is clear, but let's jump straight into one of the biggest questions that really was flagged in my mind whilst I was listening, Sufyan, which is the competitive landscape.
Yeah.
There's no doubt that the AI agent space is very, very hot right now,
Yep.
which is opportunistic, but also present huge amount of competition. There's also no slowing down of the need for better recruitment tools and processes. So what I need to understand in 1 or 2 very succinct sentences is, what is the USP and defensibility and differentiator of GetDesky?
Yes, so it's a crowded market, as we know, and that's not something I'm particularly worried about. I think my industry expertise and unique experience that I can bring from working within these teams will allow me to build a product in a way that recruiters will need it. And secondly, we're just about automating the process and making recruiters more productive. And if we can focus on the automation and the productivity, it enables teams to basically work more efficiently, and that leads to those hires that they need to make in a short space of time.
How much more efficiently?
So in terms of measuring the efficiency, I'm not going to give you an exact number or make a number up. We can gather that data once we've deployed it within the organizations. But I know from the top of my head that it will make recruiters much more efficient. Secondly, the way we're building these models, it's not as if we're just going through like keywords or deploying an open source model straight away. We are doing open source, but what we're then doing is we're going to create a feedback loop. So once we receive data from CVs or even the way recruiters work with the software, we can fine tune these models in a way where it's going to become much more efficient.
Have you trialed this with anyone yet?
We haven't trialed it. We're pretty much in the MVP build stage, and most of these are assumptions, but these assumptions are being validated in a lot of our customer research conversations we're having with businesses.
So who's that ICP, the ideal customer profile?
The ideal customer profile is very simple. It's talent acquisition teams within businesses.
And how many other conversations have you had? Have you got customers ready to onboard with this?
We've got customers that are verbally agreed to be like, we will use this product when it's ready. And we're ranging from businesses from, small to medium size.
All right, so these verbal commitments would be turned into LOIs very soon. But just to give the audience also a better perspective, there must be some global comparables that you might have, which would, because I don't believe this is the one of its kind of startup in the world. So that would definitely help the audience and the investors to understand.
Yeah, no, very good question. So in terms of the competitive landscape, you have the global players from like the ATS standpoint, right? So you have Workday, Greenhouse, Lever, Workable, Ashby. They're all now venturing into the AI space. So if you just go on their career stage, they're actually looking for machine learning engineers to bring in. So that is a signal to say they want to branch out into this area, but they haven't deployed anything. The only direct competitor is a company called Cooler AI, which is a YC-backed company from India. It's an ex-Stripe employee, and that's the closest business model that I can compete with right now. And then you have a company called, I think it's Augment, which is basically building digital workers, but for HR and recruitment as well. So from my opinion, I think it's just going to be who can build it and who can take it to the market the quickest, and then provide the greatest value to the companies.
Why are you building this here? And what competitive advantage does it have to deploy out of the UAE?
So building in the UAE, it's an emerging market, as we all know, number one. And number two, the SME landscape, which is the core market I want to go for first, is probably one of the largest in the world. And thirdly, there's data to show that Dubai is actually the world's most competitive global job market, followed by Abu Dhabi in fourth position. So if we can capture our market in these areas first and really prove our model works, it is easier for us then to scale, whether we go to US or Europe or Asia or wherever. We can take that and build it over there.
Will GetDesky also provide advantages to job seekers?
So where it works for job seekers is job seekers get a fair play in getting their profile reviewed. So right now you apply for a job and you may actually never hear back from an organization. Where the AI screening comes into place is if you apply for a job, you will receive an email to say, look, a human being can reach out to you in 2 weeks, or why don't you book some time here and our agent will give you a screening call within the next 10 minutes if you want. You then take a 20-minute conversation and answer questions that have been set by the company themselves. So you have a fair play of providing your expertise, and then that report is generated and sent to the internal teams. So because it's AI, you can conduct hundreds of thousands of calls at once, which, for teams, I don't even need to tell you how disruptive that can be.
Absolutely. Obviously, it all hinges on the ability to be able to hire good talent. Does that mean that talent has to onboard on your platform? And if so, then isn't that quite an expensive endeavor?
So onboarding is a separate module. So what usually happens is once you've hired the individual, the onboarding process moves into the HR team. That's a separate software itself. Now, it's not to say I've not thought about the onboarding process, and it's something that's on the roadmap, but right now it's not something that we're focusing on.
Sorry, I meant onboarding onto your platform.
So the onboarding onto my platform
for talent to be available through the platform, they have to subscribe or something?
Oh, no. So no talent will sign up to the platform. This is a pure B2B play. So only companies will sign up to the product.
Okay.
Talent will never engage with the platform. They will only engage with it when they apply to a job, whether that's, let's just say, for example, Kareem's website. They fill in the application form and the details.
Right.
That information gets dropped into my platform at that point.
So
As you mentioned, it's a B2B model, right? So the sales cycle usually for B2B is a bit longer. So if we had to look at if you receive the investment or when you receive the investment, the next 12 months, what are the revenue projections that you have top of mind?
So this is why I left out that typical financial slide, because I didn't just want to make up a hockey curve stick for you guys. And in my model, and I'm happy to share that with you later, we can get to 1 million ARR within the first 24 months.
Okay.
And just to give you an insight into the sales cycle, this is why I'm going after SMEs first, because you're either talking directly to the decision makers, which is either an early stage business owner or the TA teams, who usually hold the budgets to basically purchase these products. So we can deploy that within the first 1 to 2 months in a sales cycle. But over time, we can go down the PLG route where you just sign up, you download the software, and then we will onboard you and off you go.
What's the current burn and runway without the fundraise, and then after that changes?
Yeah, so I've raised previous funding and I've got 6 months left on that.
Yeah.
And the burn rate at the minute is $7,000 a month.
Okay, that's relatively low. But when I look at the slide of the ask, 550K at pre-seed stage, I notice over 50% is spent on salaries.
Yes.
Does that suggest the tech is already fully built?
The tech is built from the applicant tracking system point, yes. Now, where the tech needs to be further built, right, is the data science angle. So the way I described earlier about my models is we're going to be training these on a continuous feedback loop and a fine-tuning model, but it needs a heavy data input. So data science talent is obviously quite expensive if you want somebody that's got nose in the game to come and build that. And number two, with machine learning, also we need somebody who's got skin in the game to build that as well. So hiring strong people with strong backgrounds will allow us to build faster as well.
Are you going to use GetDesky to hire those talents?
Of course. I have to.
Can you talk me through the commitments of that 550 round at the moment?
Very early days. They're all first conversations. So I'm working through that as the weeks go by.
Okay.
Warm intros, cold outreach, and hopefully I can convert some of these into commitments as well.
What do you want from your investor other than the capital?
I think for me, it's more about customer, like getting more customers. I think if I can go to a reputable VC who has a big portfolio, every single company in that portfolio will need this product because people need to hire, and for people to hire, they need a product like this. So it's a very easy go-to-market. Okay. And that's my core angle. I think the industry thing, I have it covered. I've spent 12 years in it, so I can sell it. I know how to build it, so I'll be the product owner for all of that as well. That's going to be pretty simple for me to do.
In a nutshell, for the panel, but also for the listeners, why you and why now? The reason I ask that is because at Orasia Capital, we're sector agnostic. So we're looking at basically risk mitigation. It could be HR tech, it could be AI, it could be ed tech, the next day it could be fintech. And so ultimately we're looking at which vehicle in front of us, which investment opportunity in front of us offers the highest potential upside with the lowest potential risk. Yeah. So why you and why now?
So why me? It's pretty simple. I've worked in the industry for 12 years. I've got the domain experience. You've seen a bunch of these pictures before, and I don't believe majority of them have actually worked in the industry. They just see it as a problem. Number two, I think heavy AI adoption. We just need to Google AI in the UAE and you'll see how bullish the UAE are in adopting AI across the whole of the country. There's numerous reports to suggest that. So it feels like it's a great time to go and build in this sector.
All right. Thank you, Sufyan.
Amazing. Yeah, I think we're all cleared up on the questions. Is there any last remarks you want to leave us with?
No, thank you for the opportunity. It's been lovely, and yeah, thanks for the time.
Awesome.
Wish you the best of luck.
Great
Cheers.
pitch. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Cheers.